What's up out there, YouTube? This is James coming back at you with another informative video. I hope all is well with you guys out there on this beautiful Sunday evening. All is good here. Well, the word for today is cyber attack, people. And it seems like Iran is getting the blame of it. All right. Okay, now it says that cyber attacks hit water facilities in 7 states across the U.S. A lot of people are starting to complain that there's low water pressure and the water is, seeping from the sewers are actually seeping off into, the water supply, and these places are actually like these states are blaming cyber attacks on the Iran simply because of this ongoing war between Trump, Israel, going after Iran. But I beg to differ. I think it's something else is going on, but we'll get to that after we watch these couple of videos, and I'll show you exactly what I think the source is of these so-called cyber attacks. Check this out.
A major cyber attack targeted water systems in at least 7 states. And in Minnesota alone, federal authorities say more than 30 water facilities were breached. U.S. officials see Iran as the likely culprit, but are still working to determine that. Madeline Rivera has the latest from our New York City newsroom on this story. Madeline.
Good morning, Brian. The FBI says these malicious cyber hackers were able to change the passwords and IP addresses of the systems that operate and monitor these water facilities. The agency says they've received reports of loss of pressure and flooding, which can allow untreated groundwater to seep into the pipes. The FBI did not mention which 7 states were affected. It comes, though, on the same week that Minnesota officials warned of a coordinated cyber attack on the water systems of 30 Minnesota communities. Water safety was not impacted, but the incident does highlight the vulnerabilities of critical infrastructure. The reports, including from the New York Times, that per U.S. and state officials, this may have been the work of Iran. The FBI is dismissing that for now, telling Fox they're not currently blaming Iran as they work to identify a culprit. President Trump, in the meantime, is pointing his finger at state officials.
Well, I think I blame it on Minnesota because they're grossly incompetent. They like to say, oh, it was Iran. Iran should be so lucky. Iran's got bigger problems than worrying about Minnesota.
Governor Tim Walz responded to the president's comments on X, saying Trump knows exactly who is responsible for this attack and knows that other states were hit too. This is what modern warfare looks like, and it further illustrates there's no plan to win a war with Iran. Just last week, the FBI and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency said Iran's cyber actors were continuing to target U.S. infrastructure. Water and wastewater systems were of particular concern, and for years Iran has targeted U.S. water systems, and this suspected attack fit that pattern. Minnesota officials say the incident highlights the need for more investment in cybersecurity to prevent future threats. Ryan?
No doubt about it. Madeline Rivera, thank you.
Attacks against our water systems, that is a warning from several government entities to municipalities after as many as 7 states were attacked by cyber hacks. That happened this week alone. Fox 4 Sean Rapp in our newsroom with his reporting tonight. Sean.
Yeah, this is a big story and potentially kind of dangerous as well for all of us. Let me tell you why. Reports say that the attacks are likely Iranian actors from inside their country. The U.S. infrastructure a constant target. This week, our water supply and wastewater treatment plants. More than 30 of the cyber attacks aimed at water systems in Minnesota alone. The online attack of devices that connect water systems and wastewater treatment facilities controls to the internet so easily it can be handled with remote management and more. FBI, EPA, and Cyber Infrastructure Security Agency all sending alerts to municipalities nationwide warning about malicious cyber actors hacking water and wastewater systems, disrupting control of those systems, changing passwords and IP addresses, but to this point, not impacting water safety. Now, Ian Marlowe is founder and CEO of global cybersecurity company Phytech.
When someone has access to a multiple of those devices in an area, if they have changed the passwords and changed access, that means that they could actually, divert or alter, the serviceability of those locations, which are all absolutely a concern. And those loopholes, those access points need to be cut off.
And Ian Marlowe says local, state, and even federal government wanes in replacing and updating infrastructure hardware, internet connections, or the firewalls that protect them. And that's what and how utilities can be left compromised for cyber attacks.
Basically, we will have types of technology that may linger for a certain number of years and have what we call an open port or an open access. Over time, the assumption is they're making the changes, but the truth is not everybody has gotten there yet, and they need to move faster.
Need to move faster. And he says with this swath of attacks happening and with the vulnerable devices identified, many municipalities should move to take those offline and make changes as soon as possible. Now, some of the same things that you have to do to protect or try to protect yourself from online threats at home, that's what has to be done by municipalities and water systems. Changing passwords, making sure they're both complex and unique, mixing vowels, consonant numbers, and symbols.
Great tips. Sean, thank you.
All right.
Now, the only thing that man was right about protecting ourselves is by coming up with alternative sources of water, because this is going to be a problem in the nearby future. I don't really believe that Iran had anything to do with this so-called cyber attack against the water system in Minnesota. They claim that 7 other states were affected, but they never named them. But I do think this is going to be nationwide. You know what I mean? Here in the United States, what I'm saying, all states are going to be in some way, shape, or form affected by the problems with the water. Which brings me to why I don't believe that this was Iran, but something else. And that something else is this: data centers. Okay, yeah, data centers is a problem that's popping up all over the US. You see what I'm saying? See, these data centers are created in these end times for controlling the masses, the everyday human being. You see what I'm saying? They've already got the situation down packed with the V before the X. Those people that went and did not listen and went and got their DNA corrupted. All right, let's just leave it at that. But the next thing is going to be the monetary part, which will be called the MOTB, the chip itself, embedded, no bigger than the size of a grain of rice. All right, and this is how they're going to control the people. All right, this is how they're going to do it. I just saw a video just the other day where a man didn't make a car payment. Okay, guess what happened? They shut that car down where he was sitting at, right in traffic, just because he forgot to make a car payment. How? Because from the data center. You see what I mean? This car has the chip too. See, it's all about control beyond communism and every damn thing else. That's what this all boils down to. Now, the deal is this with the data centers is that data centers use a incredible amount of water, okay, which is going to cut down on the amount of water that you're going to be able to use. You see, and then it's going to lower, your water pressure when you cut your faucet on. See what I'm saying? See, these are the things that they're doing, and I think that there are lies being told on Iran. You see, let's get into the kind of water source. The kind of water usage that these data centers actually use, and the problems that they are causing. Check this out.
This is my cold water pressure in the kitchen. This is where I fill up water for storage. Those are the things we have to fill up to flush the toilets.
So you can see the sediment from the data center. Wow, and that's just from the water coming out of your faucet.
Yeah, and this is what's in all the pipes.
Just the well itself is probably 20,000, and that's not counting any of the
all the
faucets,
replacement
yeah.
of the fixtures and
That's
faucets
just
and
the way.
toilets and the lines that come underneath the house. It's overwhelming because you really feel like you are up against this huge wall that you can't penetrate. There's nothing that you can do, and they don't care.
Well, a fast-growing tech industry is making its way to Georgia and is showing up in huge ways. It's running our devices, helping us get around, and even making our work and appointments a lot easier. But what price are we paying for all this progress?
11 Alive News investigates. Zach Merchant reveals the growing concerns about the strain data centers may put on our local water supplies.
This is beautiful, and this is what we need more of.
But Amy Sharma worries new developments put it at risk.
Water is a finite resource.
The executive director of the science advocacy group Science for Georgia says the threat sits inside massive warehouses, many hidden in plain sight, just miles from downtown Atlanta.
They are hugely resource intensive.
They're known as data centers. Emory University Goizueta Business School professor Ramnath Chalapa says the servers inside of them help power the digital age. And now the explosion of artificial intelligence is exponentially increasing demand.
They form the fundamental backbone of the entire AI-driven economy.
But all of that computing comes with a cost. One of the biggest inputs, Chalapa said, is water, used as part of many data centers' cooling systems.
A large data center might use upwards of 200 million gallons annually.
That's the equivalent of close to 2,000 homes, according to one EPA estimate. And Georgia is becoming one of the nation's leading states for data centers, according to Dan Diorio with the Data Center Coalition.
Georgia's definitely in the top 3.
State filings reviewed by 11 Alive News Investigates show developers have submitted proposals for at least 25 new data center projects across Georgia just since 2024, totaling more than 5.2 billion gallons of potential water usage each year.
One of the latest projects, an enormous construction site here in Newton County.
Dan Diorio estimates statewide roughly 100 data centers are either already online or are in active development, putting increasing demand on Georgia's water system. Diorio argues the data centers bring thousands of jobs, and the companies behind them have a financial incentive to use water resources carefully.
Are data centers safe for the environment? Yes, I think so. So data centers are a highly efficient user of those inputs.
But in a rapidly evolving industry, Chalapa says there are still questions about its impact on currently existing infrastructure.
Because this infrastructure, this water table, and how we draw water from that was not built for this sudden surge in consumption.
This new wave is here. We're not going back to a world where generative AI does not exist.
We do need to invest in these data centers. The genie's out of the bottle. There's no way of putting it back or not going back in time.
The challenge, he says, is to ensure the growing industry strikes the right balance between development of an essential technology and stewardship of the resources required to power it.
The contrast ought not to be seen as a contrast, but ought to be seen as how do we accomplish both of those elements.
My biggest worry is that currently we're not paying attention.
For the sake of places like these, she hopes that changes. Zach Merchant, 11 Alive News, investigates.
Now, they also say that those data centers take a lot of power to run that will affect your electrical bill. You see? So this is what the deal is with these data centers. I don't believe that Iran was responsible for any kind of hacking. That was just the usual suspect that they can go to tell lies, just to shift the sight off of them. Trump didn't believe it. You know what I'm saying? He knows exactly where these lies are coming from and who's responsible for it. So again, I think that we should basically be looking into alternative water sources, however way that we can do it. Y'all look up Moses West. He was a guy back in 2014 that came to the rescue of Flint, Michigan, when they had messed the water up there. And when you cut the water on out of your faucet, you just seen dirty, brown, muddy looking water just coming out. You see what I'm saying? He actually constructed a machine that can extract the dew out of the air. You see what I'm saying? Actually to formulate good, clean drinking water. You see what I'm saying? Something that we have to do, because these devils are not going to stop. Like the dude said, you know, the genie is out of the bottle and there's no putting it back and we're not going backward. Yeah, you're going back. Matter of fact, you're going to get reduced back to the Stone Age. You see, I got a scripture here that I want us to look at, you know, from Yahushua, you know, himself. Matthew chapter 24, verse 2. And Yahushua said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Okay? Now, Mr. Data Center. Now, he was talking about the temple back in those days. But when he comes back, yeah, there ain't, y'all can rush and y'all can put data centers on every corner. It ain't gonna make no difference, because when he comes back to clean this place up, yeah, it ain't gonna be no stone left on one another, just like Matthew 24:2 just said. And that's just what it is. See, so that's all I got on this particular video right here, people. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on it. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Tell me what you think about this situation right here. People, please remember to live your life as though we are being watched. Simply because we are. This is James, and I'm out. Peace.